Age Tech Innovators.
Hello, and welcome to Age Tech Innovators, the podcast where we explore how technology is transforming the way we care for our aging population. I'm Monty, your host, and each week we chat with inspiring leaders who are making a real difference in the lives of older adults, sharing innovations and ideas that help support and uplift those who need it most. Join us as we work together to build a brighter, more caring future for everyone. Now, let's dive in. So, my guest today, who I'm very grateful to have and who I know very well, is Kevin. Kevin, would you mind running me through in 60 seconds who you are and what you do?
Yeah, always a good question to remind myself every morning. I'm Kevin McSorley. I'm head of Radius Connect 24. I've been in this particular industry 31 years now. So I joined Radius at that time to set up, develop, and deliver its 24/7 tech service across the island of Ireland. I'm still trying to make a success of that today. And I'm also a non-exec director of TSA, which I've also been involved with for the same period. So that's about raising standards, raising awareness about the potential of tech to change people's lives for the better.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for your time today. And I can speak on behalf of myself and the people who will be listening. We're very excited to hear your perspectives on this industry. As a quick side note, whenever I mention Kevin's name, it carries a lot of weight in the industry. So I'm very excited for this. You mentioned 30 years ago, you joined and you started to set up the response center, Radius Connect. Can you run me through what got you into this? There's always some backstory as to how people end up in places that are supporting people.
I mean, it's probably was a fortuitous event at the time. I just prior to joining Radius to set this operation up, believe it or not, I spent 10 years in the housing sector prior to joining Radius, and I attended a conference hosted by one of the big players in the sector at the time who were unveiling the concept of bringing a lifeline unit which could be deployed in people's homes and bringing the benefits of sheltered accommodation, of safety and security, 24/7 access to someone who will help bringing that to people in their own homes. And I thought, you know what, they're actually impacting thousands more lives than we're impacting as a housing provider in terms of building purpose-built accommodation. And the opportunity came along shortly afterwards of Radius wanting to do something similar. Also at the time had a postgrad in what was called data processing at the time. So the combination of tech, new business, and in the care industry, I know that you call it the age tech sector, but to me, I work in the care industry. That appealed, and I started that job only 30 years ago, and I haven't finished yet.
So thank you so much. It's great to hear how you moved into supporting this area. So you've been in the industry for 30 years, the care tech industry.
Yeah.
What was your reason that you stayed? There must have been the taste of supporting people, and then it wasn't just a year or 2 years. What hooked you in?
When I joined initially, it was for 3 years. In terms of a sort of a project, see how this goes. But really, there's been a lot of unfinished business, and over the years, the technology is only now coming on leaps and bounds in terms of what it can truly deliver. The service delivery concept is only really becoming embedded due to crisis, I suppose, in that people can no longer deliver services in the way that they've historically wanted to or felt able to. So what I thought would be a revolution has in fact been an evolution. Rome wasn't built in a day, and realizing the potential of tech within the telecare sector, I think we've got to the starting point. Hopefully we will accelerate over the next 10 years into the 21st century and become a truly digitally inclusive society in this sector as well as in our everyday lives.
You said it's only been recently where you
Yeah,
started to see a real explosion.
but yeah, I mean, there's a number of things at the heart of this. One is type of support service that we offer. People can call for help. We'll arrange that help for them. We'll actually save people's lives. That sort of core basic safety net service is still invaluable today, still supporting with 20,000 clients, supporting the carers who look after those clients. Like it was a reach of 100,000, but really only at the tip of the iceberg when you think the population of Northern Ireland's 1.8 million. And it's not, this tech isn't just, and the service isn't just for our seniors or age related, for anyone of any age who may feel vulnerable or insecure, who wants that little bit of low-level first-line support to live safe and independent lives. That's been a core safety net provision. But we really want to reach many more thousands of people. We don't want to get people who are referred following an acute incident or crisis. We don't want to be gold standard crisis intervention. We want to get upstream. We want to prevent those situations happening. And the only way we can really do that is by changing our focus onto our sort of outreach work, proactivity, which in itself will be preventative in nature. You know, COVID was a real learning curve for us. It really did make us sit back and rethink how we approached everything. The very fact that we had response centre, instead of just one centre, we had 46 centres with people working from home. People couldn't go and visit people due to the vulnerable nature of the clients. So social isolation crept up the scale in terms of importance, and the need to make regular contact with people to check in that they were okay was huge. We saw the demand for that service grow exponentially beyond what we had the capacity to deliver, which is why it forced us in a way down the line of exploring, well, can we do this in a different way? And the use of automated technology, your service, reaching, tens of thousands of people at the same time instead of 10 people at the same time. A simple well-being check call, but I'll add to that the safety net, that if something was wrong, then that would move to the next level to a triage by a call advisor, structured support, signposting people to the appropriate help. That was transformational in itself. And the beauty is a simple service concept, but the potential impact and outreach, huge. So that really got us thinking about when we can begin to explore the digital dividend here for the service we deliver, the ability to take much more meaningful data in, gather actionable insights, get earlier intervention, and to get prevention. Lord Darcy in his report said the other day, the NHS is more or less, in my words, a busted flush, but it's fixable. But he said in an article in The Guardian today, solution is the government policy is to look across, this cuts across society. We have the cure here if we can get people working together. It's not a health issue. It's a societal issue. And I suppose that's what I've always felt. Telecare and technology, it cuts across the various sectors, from housing, social care, health. And I would go one step further now. I would bring education back into this, because the real potential of this technology and the solution to the public health crisis is education and empowerment of people to look after themselves and to seek low-level first-line interventions earlier, which prevents ongoing crisis. So it's a really exciting time to be alive.
It really is. And you've touched upon so much. I think what stands out is your perspective isn't on this being age tech or supporting just elderly people. it's across the whole of society. My follow-on question was going to be, what do you think the key challenges are in raising awareness and in improving penetration in this age bracket of people above 65? But actually, just to broaden it, what do you think the key challenges are to introducing this safety net and first line of proactive support across the community?
I think it's really quite simple. I think it's about awareness, right? I think this is where government could invest in raising public awareness about the potential of remodeled services to deliver better outcomes. Look at any health promotion, prevention, and big change agenda, like smoking cessation, like obesity, even like COVID. There is money available to invest in public information in a way to support people to lead healthier lives. We ourselves run a very simple radio and TV advertising campaign every autumn, a 30-second ad, which tells a simple story of that we're here to help if you need us. It generates referrals through the roof simply because we're reaching people through their traditional media, my ad, because that's the sector which is most in need of our services, because their life's challenges reach them at that age. And it's keeping the solution simple. People get frightened when they hear about tech and about Big Brother and all of that. But if you pitch it as a people-to-people service, albeit supported by technology, then people feel connected. And that's what we do. That's why we're called Radius Connect 24, because we see our role as simply connecting people, being that helping hand that you need at times of crisis, but you also value at other times. So you build a relationship with your community. You build the communities to self-support. One other big challenge, of course, is with technology is how we leverage the capacity of supporting people, not just at home, but when they're out and about. The mobile phone technology, traditional tech is, in this sector, is always focused on being home-based. Even some of the preventative tech now is about deploying sensors around the home to track lifestyles. Actually, people spend a lot of their time outside of the home. And you need to be able to have sensor technology, mobile phone-based technology, if you like, in my book, which adopts that whole time view of somebody. So I think that's a big challenge, the whole mobile agenda as opposed to the home-based agenda.
To add to that, you've seen how the industry's changed in the last 30 years. And you talking about how important it is to have simple, scalable products. Do you think there's going to be many new innovations in the next 10 years, or do you think we're going to see existing products just growing? What are your thoughts?
The tech is always going to continue to innovate. The use of AI, the development of algorithms, which, it's about the application of the tech in terms of service models. It's about reassuring the clients to trust the tech. It's about taking the lessons of, Amazon has transformed how people buy goods and services. We need something similar. I would love to get Amazon to run a pilot in the NHS and see what way they would deliver that. And I think, no pun intended, I think in all honesty, there's almost a need to keep going with the NHS, but actually develop something completely different in terms of thinking about earlier intervention, prevention in a remote support way as a baseline. Social care isn't mentioned anymore because it's much too difficult, but actually it's the easiest thing to do. It's the biggest benefit. It's where investment should really be focused. And it can be done if we take the lessons from tech players who are driven by what consumers want, and we're all consumers.
Yeah. Do you think they would bring emphasis maximizing value in terms of more of a sustainable offering and business model? Do you think that's
What
what we're
they
missing in
bring,
terms of?
what they bring is accessibility. And what people want is to be able to access services when they need them. So that's the big lesson from those players. It's, not a 9 to 5 service, 24/7 service. It's a multimedia service. It's always on. Either we offer a wraparound service because we still think the people context of this tech will enable us to work smarter, to reach more people with less people. That's what it does. We're investing to build the capacity to cope. People's jobs aren't at risk. We're just reshaping jobs, remodeling services, deliver services in a different way, and involving clients in that service model, co-design, co-production. That's the way it will have to be to cope with the lifestyle changes which we all see. Lord Darcy, by the way, set an objective. He said, why couldn't we set an objective for healthy lives to be extended by 10 years by the year 2050? Why can't we do that? Seems a reasonable thing to me. We have objectives on climate change, big crisis. We have the tsunami of demographics. I'm not even talking about illness. I'm talking about the needs of an aging society to be supported. Recognizing that cross-cutting nature is the way to go.
So if we fast forwarded the clocks, maybe 30 years, 40 years. So let's say you woke up in 30 years' time, and you look down and you've lost your hair. You've still got a good amount of hair. I'm on my way, but you're
lost
now
more hair? Dear. I've lost more hair, you mean?
And you look down and suddenly you're in a 95-year-old body and you're an elderly man.
Yeah.
What would you like to use? What do you think what would Kevin use on a day-to-day basis to stay independent if that suddenly was your reality in 40 years' time?
I'd like to be more easily get to places, maybe to be transported in a different way, to get out and about, to enjoy life. I'd be thanking Lord Darcy for setting that objective and for us having achieved it.
Us having done the work.
Still able to do that. I'd like to make sure that my local pub was accessible, that my friends were still alive, and that we could have that social interaction. Because as the social interaction sustains your life.
Yeah, I think that's a really wholesome answer. Some people have said exoskeleton jetpack jumpsuits to allow them to fly around, but to hear the emphasis on social connection and just hanging out with your friends at the pub.
To be honest, I prefer a real pub than a virtual pub. I mean, it's just a personal preference.
I went during COVID. I had a virtual club night, and we all drank at home. It was very sad and depressing because after the Zoom ended, you're just left there in your bedroom.
Yeah.
Okay, so I know that Radius and I've seen this firsthand. It's what I've also heard a lot in the market. Radius is a very forward-thinking, early adopting, but within always taking into account the right precautions, data security, etc. Very forward-thinking organization. As you see, there's a increase in pace of adoption of technology, so more technology is being used. What do you think is going to happen to the market? Do you think there's going to be people digging their heels in and trying to maintain control? Do you think there's going to be more consolidation? Do you think there's going to be more fragmentation, more people entering? How do you think the market will be affected by this new change of technology? And what do you think will happen to businesses who aren't innovating?
There's two things that spring to mind. One is that ancient saying that if you're a hammer, you think everything's a nail. So you need to think outside the box. And those people who do, they're people who make things happen, or people who watch things happen because they're more cautious. And then the rest of people wonder what happened because they'll no longer be at the table and they'll have missed it. So innovation has always been key. If you're not innovating, you're not changing, you're not learning, you're not improving, your business model will no longer be, or your service model will no longer be fit for purpose. Allied to that, you have to have a badge of quality because of the sector we're in terms of people's trust and confidence in you. That's why I'm involved with the TSA in terms of ensuring that services like ourselves have that independent accreditation, which is a badge of confidence that says, yes, you can trust these people. It's a trusted brand, so there's a huge premium on that. And the market will change. The market will fragment, but there will be space for everyone in this market because the market will be bigger. And that's the lesson. There'll be some people will be coordinators. There will some people be niche providers of specialist type technology, and others will be service delivery partners. In our response center, I can well see us moving to a 2-tier response center. One, the existing frontline triage. Second level, perhaps more clinical, remote triage support in terms of that skill set, but centralized as that gateway to other specialist services.
And does that tie into your vision of how your service and your vision, which is being realized, of how your service isn't specifically aimed towards elderly people, but it's just tying into healthcare generally?
I mean, some of these things we've been at variations of these over the last 30 years. You know, they're probably trying to take what was clunky technology at the time and create different service models. So I'm not sure that we have anything which is brand new, made in Radius as such, but taking concepts, improving technology, improving service models, and then gaining the trust and confidence. So it takes generational change, but the pace of change gets quicker. I would really like to see a new sense of urgency in the sector, a new sense of dynamic. Transformation will take time, but you can begin that today and you continue it tomorrow.
You say lots of wise, nice sentences and nice quotes. I've enjoyed this. So my last question today ties in really nicely to the point we're on, which is how can we increase a sense of urgency in this sector? And my question is, we'll have people who are listening to this podcast who want to enter into this sector. They're at university and they're coming up with some new ideas. They're maybe looking to introduce a new product or a new innovation. What encouraging advice would you offer to the listeners considering entering into this health/age tech space?
I do think there's a vocational aspect to this. You know, Radius is a values-driven organization. We're a social enterprise. We're not for profit, but the real thing that binds us is we want to make a real difference to people's lives. If you want to make a real difference to people's lives and you want to do so at scale, with significant impact, with significant dividend, not just for those who are cared for, but for those who do the caring, vast unpaid army of informal carers, this is the sector to get engaged in, because this will bring real sense of satisfaction and achievement that you're making a difference to people's lives, you know, even within your own communities. Let's create a better future for us all.
Beautiful. I couldn't agree more. So, Kevin, before we wrap it up, is there anything you'd like to share or anything else at all? If not, it's perfect. I've really appreciated your time, but anything top of mind, anything you'd like to touch upon potentially?
No, I just think everybody has an optimistic, pragmatic, realistic approach can make that difference. So there's no such thing as a stupid question, no such thing as a stupid idea. Let's see how it goes. Trust yourself.
Well, I'm excited, as you say, it's an exciting time to be alive, so I can't wait to see how things develop with Radius Connect and the innovation that you carry on introducing.
Okay. Good.
Thank you, Kevin, so much, and I'll chat to you soon. Peace.
Cheers.